You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers! Assemble.
Welcome to another episode of this Marvel Tribe Advent calendar series that we're doing. We're following season 2 of the What If, and we are on episode 6. I am joined by my phenomenal assemble hosts. I have Skip to my Lou, aka Lou Everything. Lou is the man, and also Sam, Broadcast Princess, as well. So, how are you guys doing? I'm the host, one of the co-hosts, Blurred Hulk. But yeah, let's kick off with Lou. You want to open up with your rating of this episode?
Yeah, you threw me through a loop there. I was waiting for the Luniversal comment. Like I've gotten attached.
That gets old. Yeah. They know you're.
They know.
They know you're the Luniversal fanboy.
They know.
This one, I am having a hard time scoring it. I really am. Part of me wants to go high, but then a part of me wants to go low. And the reason why I want to go, I'm not going to say why I want to go high.
Because you want to rewrite it? Because you want to rewrite it and be a cheater for our recap episode?
No, because I go to the beginning of the season. I ask myself, is this something that I would ask myself, what if? And this isn't, and not being a bad way at all, just because I didn't know something like this existed. So like
it didn't. It was created just for this season.
Yeah. So like the what if for me, that what if question isn't there. So I want to score it low, but then at the same time, I also want to score it low because like I really would have rather seen this entire show really peeled back and really expose what it is on the big screen, or even in a Disney Plus, like multiple episodes. Like for that, I want to go a low score just to kind of like, man, I wanted that. But so I think I'm going to stick with like my average rating right now, because I don't think it's average at all. Let me say that right now. But at the same time, it doesn't spark the question of what if for me. If anything, now I have more what if questions about it. So for that, I'm going to give it an 8. It does deserve a higher score. I would not be sugarcoat that at all. But I just can't give it a higher score because this is not a what if question I was asking myself. But I do have plenty of what if questions now going forward.
Okay, cool.
For those of you who are listening, so this is episode 6, and it was What If Kahhori Reshaped the World. Kahhori is a brand new character that was just introduced in this episode of What If. She does not have a comic book run. She has never been introduced in the MCU. This is her origin story. This is the only time we've ever seen her. And for me, holy hell, I'm giving this episode a 10 because there were so many elements of just good storytelling that we got in this episode. And I loved that we got a brand new character that leaves me wanting more. Just like Lewis said, I didn't just want I would love to see a Disney Plus show, which I don't think is far off. We're probably going to get one. There is a reason why they created this character. And honestly, I'm wondering if the reason they made her a What If original character is because less people watch What If than they do the live action Disney Plus shows. And so now they're going to make people go back and watch What If to get the original content for Kahhori after we're introduced to her. I would love to see her in a film. I think we will. I think we will see her and the Skyland people introduced in the MCU in a major film. But I want friggin' comic book content of Kahhori now. Like, I sat here watching this episode and I was like, 1, who the hell is this? 2, like Googling, like, who is this in Marvel Comics? I've never heard of this person. Usually I've at least had some database to pull from. No idea. I Googled, found out that she was created just for this episode, being to move forward in the MCU. For me, that was just like a huge deal. Kid in a candy shop type of situation. So I'm giving this episode a 10. The storytelling was amazing. The cultural buy-in, which we will talk about more later, absolutely amazing. It left me wanting so much more. So I know that, like, we've talked about those what if episodes. We want there to be an introduction to a question, but we want to see the closing of that question in that episode, kind of. This did not happen, and I am okay with that happening in this episode. I am absolutely okay with that happening. It was great. What do you think, Blurred Hulk?
So I'm gonna give it a 10. Now the what if does have rules to their, the rules of what if is pretty straightforward. What if something happened differently than the way it's originally happened, or the way we were told that it happened? And for me, while the title doesn't jive with the actual what if scenario because it's introducing the new character, the events take place actually does. And the what if in this particular situation was, what if Ragnarok happens under Odin's watch, an earlier event versus then when Thor was the protector of the 9 realms. And so we saw Centaur come in and bring about Ragnarok and destroy Asgard, while Odin did have the Tesseract in his keep, used it to try to protect Asgard, failed, and then the power of the Space Stone ended up traveling to Earth. So for me, the what if question was, what if Ragnarok actually happened under Odin's watch and not Thor's? And the answer we got from that is we get a new superhero.
I love it. And not just one superhero. Not just one.
We have a tribe of people similar to that of how Namor in the Talokan is, where you have Namor is the supreme one of the group, but they all have the power that's been imbued into them. It's the same with this episode. I agree with Sam as far as a kid in the candy store. I was talking earlier before we jumped on here, talk about how it's been a while since I just been introduced to a new character in this way, and just been kind of curious and fascinated and wanting more, and like figure out, normally we get new characters introduced and there's already a history and an arc that's kind of behind them. And so now we get to guess how much of it they're bringing into the world and how much they're not. So they're, what they're remixing, all that stuff. So we get to talk about that here, total blind. And I'm okay with that. I am, this is a new character. I am truly intrigued. I want to see where she takes us, where Marvel takes us with this person. I don't know. We don't know what her full power base is. We don't know how much of the Space Stone is imbued in her and her people and what they can. I'm fully fascinated. Loved it. It was a 10 for introduction of a new comic character.
For what we've seen so far, for the challenges that she's faced, she's limitless as far as we have seen so far. We haven't seen her challenged by anything other than humans, Spanish conquistadors, and the Queen of Spain. But we've seen her harness a hell of a lot of power and do some amazing things. Yeah. And the fact that the Tesseract created the Fountain of Youth, I thought that was amazing. Like, I was so geeked. Do you guys ready to just jump into the rundown? Because there's so much to talk about. All right. So as David said, we saw the fall of Asgard. Asgard is gone. The Tesseract falls through time and space. It lands on Earth. And then we see 2 native children running and playing on their land. And they see a lake with ducks on it. And they're like, what? This isn't a forbidden lake. What happened? Like, yeah. Our ancestors.
Native tongue.
Yeah, they're speaking in their native tongue, which chef's kiss. I do not mind reading dialect or reading subtitles. I do not mind reading subtitles when we can have like that kind of authentic buy-in. Like there was the only English in this episode was the Watcher, and I was okay with that. So we see this lake with ducks on it, and they're like, it doesn't look that scary. Like, not a big deal. It doesn't look that scary. Why is this lake forbidden? And then all of a sudden they hear shots and they run back to their village, and the village is absolutely on fire, being destroyed by Spanish conquistadors because the Queen of Spain wants to conquer the New World. And we see like the natives being captured. The two children, so it is Kahhori and her brother, start running back towards the lake. They fall into a sinkhole, and in that sinkhole is the real forbidden lake. It is underneath it. The one above it was a decoy. So they're hiding down in the cave system where the lake is. I guess it was kind of like a cenote, right?
Yeah,
so it's like a cenote. And the Spanish conquistadors, they follow them down, and they're like, oh, this is what we're here looking for, the Fountain of Youth. This is what, the general of their army was looking for. And they end up shooting Kahhori, who falls into the water. We see the Tesseract pull her through a portal, and she ends up going to what they call the Skyland. Her brother gets captured, taken back, and, they go to tell the Conqueror guy that, hey, we found what you're looking for. Then we get to see Kahhori's journey in the Skyland. Anybody else want to take it from there?
Yeah, so she's met with another tribesman who kind of gives her the rundown of where they are, what they do. They've been blessed with the powers of the land. They don't age. They have different. They're in tune with this place, this magical spiritual place that they found, and all. And so all she ended up really wanting to do was to get back to her people, even though this place was amazing and stuff. I mean, who doesn't want to live in heaven, of your idea of what heaven is and stuff, where you're provided food, you never age, your complexion looks amazing, by the way. But Kahhori really
glow blue, like,
yeah, man,
how cool is that?
So she, after kind of giving the brief introduction of everything and kind of seeing how much paradise is, I mean, you can tell she felt kind of sad that her people don't have this. Her people on the other plane in the other world is suffering right now and needs her help and can use the power that they have and stuff. And so she tries to get back up into the portal, which is fixated in the sky. And she's climbing a big old redwood tree, and meanwhile, the other tribesman who has been her kind of guide, helping her out, climbed the tree, kind of told her a little bit about the power base and stuff, and so she just kind of started to kind of really kind of take it in, and then she's like leaping from branches to branches, and he makes a comment like, "Oh, you're a quick learner." As if that is not common in these parts, how quick she adapted her power, the power base that she's been given and stuff. And then she's attempted to do the twig steps, stairway to heaven, basically. She attempted that and fell. And then after several times, her friend told her that, 14's the record. Just so you know, no one ever makes it.
But she didn't give up.
She did not.
She kept going. And then they hear a horn, and he says it's time for the hunt
of the grapefruit.
So they're like these giant things that are kind of, we don't know what they are. We're looking at them. They like buffalo dinosaur rock monster things. And they have these like the best fruit, he said, you can ever have on their backs, and it's part of the hunt. So they wake these things up, and they're all running, like flipping over them, trying to harvest them from the top. And he starts running, and he's like, "Come on, girl, like let's go." He's like, the trick is to go over them, not in front of them. She takes off, and she is faster than any of them.
Oh yeah.
And she's running so fast she doesn't know how to stop. When she does stop, she's in front of them, uses her newfound powers, flips one over her. All of the fruit just like goes flying through the air. So at the end of the hunt, they're standing there counting who has the most, and she walks back with dozens of them. Dozens just floating in the air. And they're like, oh my gosh. So the elderly tribeswoman said, we get our names from, people of our ancestors who had great power, and you just gave yours more power. So I am interested to hear the story of who was Kahhori before Kahhori was Kahhori. Mm-hmm. I hope we get that story someday.
Well, and I love the part that they talked about when the guy asked her, like, what clay are you made of? And she's
wolf.
Like, wolf.
He's like, I'm part frog.
That's alpha and turtle. I think he said turtle.
Oh, he did. He did say he said turtle. He said turtle. Because I was like, that's why he's slower than she is.
But I love the clay reference and stuff. And I don't know, again, I am novice at this. Maybe Louis can chime in, but I was trying to look up that reference and stuff. And only thing I can find is it's similar to what we adopted and converted into spirit animal. But natives don't use spirit animals. That's something that we assign to them. They don't use the word. The clay thing is more akin to how they talk about who they're attached and how what their molds are made of.
So I looked it up, and it actually dates. It is actually something that comes from the tribe that helped write this or helped work on this episode. Louis, do you want to talk about your connection to that tribe? Because it's really cool.
Yeah. So I found out very at the beginning of the What If series that a family of mine up in Quebec, they are part of, I can never pronounce it, but it's the Mohawk tribe up in Quebec and up in Ganawage. And my family helped, I don't know on what depth, but my family helped give. So at the end of the show, we see the Marvel give thanks to, and it was sharing the name of the tribe that helped provide feedback to make sure that it was staying culturally sound to what the story was about. And yeah, my uncle Tyler, my aunt Theo, they helped provide input on this. My grandmother, she is Mohawk Indian, and she's from Canada. And they provided a lot of feedback and info. And unfortunately, as I grew up, I don't want to say I was negative about it, but I did not look at it the way I do now and kind of missed a lot of opportunities to really absorb as much information as I could. But seeing this was really a moment of how much more, not humble, that's the wrong word, but it's like that feeling you get at, like, say, the holidays, where it's just that glow inside you where you want to know more. And watching this made me want to reach out to all of them, like, hey, I want to hear as much as you can share. Because as a kid, I don't want to say it wasn't cool, but it wasn't that common. And then going through high school, and you have kids that, every other day somebody's claiming some type of tribe to just kind of get another notch in their report card. So, like, I was blind to it. I was like, yeah, okay. And now I kind of regret not hearing all those stories and really trying to educate myself in it more. But recently, I've had a lot more friends and family members that have shown, what life is like, being part of a tribe, what it means to be part of a tribe, and overall what it is to them and what they are to their tribe. So this episode, the way it's been worded to me, doesn't seem like it skips a beat at all. So, but yeah, it was a longer answer for a short answer, but that was... Well,
maybe, hey, do you think there's a possibility you could ask about the clay thing?
I can ask about that, and I could probably double down on that and see if we can get one or two family members and a friend on the show to deep dive this. Not necessarily deep dive the story, but maybe deep dive the parallel from how Marvel did it and how it is in real life, and see if we can deep dive that.
Dude, I'd be so geeked if we could do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That would be cool. So, for me, solid 10. I found no faults with this. And I'm enamored with how they introduced her and her origin story and stuff. Like, so I don't know about you guys, but I know we want to continue with this, but I do want to ask this because I think we all kind of do this as viewers, kind of look for similarities in other things we've like movie wise and like things that it's given off. And like for me, this was given off like I don't know if you guys seen Prey from Predator with the badass female warrior and stuff. This is giving off some Black Panther as well. With the tribe and the surrounding when they got introduced to vibranium and the power base and how that looked. Also, there's pieces of Namor that was in this as well. But for me, it was really, there are some real interesting Black Panther parallels and stuff to her story, her origin. It was almost like, the first Black Panther would be Kahhori at this point in time. Like she's been the chosen one that's been imbued with this power. So what about you? Do you guys get any?
I do. And I want to touch on something. I felt so obviously like I've been undisputed talking about things Disney's doing, how they're doing. I felt like this was really well done for actual history events of what we knew has happened or what we have been told to happen or what has been altered. I felt like this story, the way they did it was, we are going to paint a picture of what some would say didn't happen, could have happened, should have happened. I wasn't there, so I can't acknowledge it a lot. And stay with me because I'm going to try to paint this as best I can without butchering the words. But I felt like this was a correction, not a correction, because that's not, you didn't correct it, but a staple to challenges and heartbreak that has happened in our history, that this was done without it feeling like you're forcing it. And I've shared it openly on the shows. There's some things where it's like, you're doing this just to, like, I don't want to say force, but it's the best way I can describe it. This one felt like they took something that they wanted to correct, paint a very beautiful story, and give you both. So obviously we have like the Columbus story coming over to America and stuff like that. And there's a lot of controversy around Thanksgiving of what happened. And I felt like this was kind of like a very beautiful version of the opposite side of the story of what could have happened, what probably should have happened. And I really think, and I hope I'm translating this well, but I thought this was beautifully done without trying to make it seem fit any type of modern day agenda. I thought it was really well done. And
so
that's
you know why that happened? Because this was something we talked about before we recorded. They had authentic buy-in. They had the right people involved in writing this show. They had people who have the proper experiences writing this show, and they weren't trying to appropriate anybody's culture. When you try to correct a systematic stereotype and you have it whitewashed and there's no authentic buy-in from anybody in that culture, anybody who is part of that stereotype, anybody who is part of that misconception,
you get
to represent it correctly, you get a piece of shit media. Yep. So they had authentic buy-in. They had people who had a valued experience in sharing the truth. Now, if they were to just have literally Kevin Feige write this and have no authentic buy-in, it probably would have rubbed some tail feathers the wrong way.
So yeah, if it was focused on, if it was focused solely on just introducing a new person with superpowers, and then the other stuff is just background noise, it would have been complete shit. So the fact that they, like, you guys both were saying, like, there was some truth in telling, cultural references that were fact checked and verified, and included. There's that inclusiveness of the people who the stories are about, versus just making it like, it's not really about that. That's background. Let's just focus on her powers, and that's the main story. No, the whole thing. So I agree. There was some authenticity that was added into the show.
As we're like now stories that we know outside of real life stuff, me, I got real strong Atlantis vibes.
Yes, I was just about to say Princess
with the blue, the markings, all that. I mean, they didn't have the love story going underground. Like, I really got Atlantis, and I don't want to say this. That's also where the
Namor vibes came for me.
But then I also don't want to say this, but I got Avatar vibes from it too.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna go more. I got Avatar to a mild extent. The whole two worlds clashing, one trying to take over the other, be the fountain of youth. Very mildly,
glowing blue colors.
But I could not stop thinking of Atlantis throughout this whole movie. And then even when she comes walking with the stones or the fruit, I kept picturing the floating heads in like the temple, and I was like, dude, this would work. I mean, this episode, like I said, it's only an 8 because that some of the own rules I've set for myself for what if. But if I didn't set those, it would be a 10. But I got to go 8. But overall, the only thing I can find negative about this, and it's not necessarily negative about this episode, I think it's the negativity of what if this season. The first 5 to not even that 2 to 3 minute introductions are so quick that it almost seems forced. Like you were saying with the whole what if Ragnarok would have happened, like until you shared that, I forgot about that whole piece in the show. Even with the Captain Carter and Black Widow one, we touched on it a lot, but the Avengers opening seemed irrelevant. That episode could have stood without that piece. It's almost like a small little fragment just to say, like you shared, there is a what if question here. That's my only flaw, but that's with what if in general. I don't like those very forced intros to kind of like, this is why we're here. But no, this episode from the end of the beginning credits to the end of the episode was nothing short of incredible. I mean, this stands up there with Wakanda Forever and those movies that I shared in the group chat. There's some Marvel films that just stand on their own. Yep. And this one right here, this show, you couldn't put it in another basket besides Wakanda Forever and a few other things without saying.
I'm going to tell y'all, Louis had me going in our group chat today because I was like, I am so excited to talk about this episode. He goes, really? Are you sure? Like, are you? And I was like, here we freaking go again. It's going to be Louis versus Sammy tonight because I'm going to go no holds barred. I'm going to start hitting with metal chairs.
Well, I knew we touched on the family factor, so I wanted to make sure I come in with not a biased response. So that's why I'm giving an 8 as well, because I don't want to sit there and give it a 10 because of the family ties and all that. I don't want to do that.
Listen, that's even more of a
don't discount that
because you are allowed
we all
to be
walk
proud.
through this world and we look at things through our own lens, and so
that's why we have to be proud of what your family's done.
But I am super proud of who my family is and what they've overcome and still are battling. So that I am super proud of that. But at the same time, like I shared on the main show, I keep my personal stuff personal and I keep my podcast stuff podcasting. So for that, it's still an 8. I've already texted my family and shared how much I really enjoyed this episode. And Marvel, I know there's that one listener.
Send them this episode to listen to so that they can listen to what David.
Oh yes. Well. I'm going to send this, and then we actually, the three of us, have a mutual friend that will find this episode. I've already texted him to say, hey, you need to watch this one, and I think he's going to. No, not ears, not ears. But I think he's going to find this one. Probably not firing on all cylinders, but at the same time, I think he will find the cultural aspect firing on all cylinders. So we may have 2 or 3 guests for that episode. Probably, obviously, when What If wraps, because if we get more, I'm going to be stoked. But I think, at the minimum, Marvel, give us a TV show. Give us a 10-episode WandaVision 1 where it's in depth. Give us that.
Give me some new comic books.
Oh, I mean, comic books I feel like are a given. I feel like those, I'm surprised those aren't out as like marketing tools for this episode. But I do think go the TV show route. Really deep dive more of why the Forbidden Lake was hidden. Why was it?
I want a feature-length movie off of this.
I mean, I'm down for that too. But I mean, I'm just saying at the bare minimum, You got to give us a TV show. Don't just do this to us. I mean, this is not enough. You wet our palates, and now we are dehydrated. We want more.
And honestly, I was a little irritated at first when I realized she was not part of the comics and she was not part of, and I was like, why are we getting this? And then I kept watching more and more and more. And I said, I don't care where you introduce me to this character. You introduced me to a badass female character who just stepped up and took charge of an entire badass tribe full of superhuman beings.
So I have a question for you.
So one thing that Marvel has a recipe that they always follow that started with Jack Kirby was that when they introduce people, they don't introduce their full potential and full power. The fact that we got to see this manifest the way it did, I can't wait to see what her full potential is.
Well, let's keep talking about the episode. Go ahead, let's say what you want to say, but then we got to keep going.
I got a question. All right, so since we're talking about this, and it doesn't sound like we have any flaws whatsoever besides not enough of it, I have a question for you. If this was to be a feature-length film, who are you fan casting? I can't pronounce her name to save my life, but who would you fan cast as the main character?
I'll let Sam go first in that.
I haven't even thought that far.
Do you have a name in mind?
I don't. I just thought of that question off the top of my head. So while we're looking, though, and to keep conversation going for podcasting, and we can walk and talk, if they were to do a feature-length film?
All right, so I'll have one. So Amber Mid-Thunder. I'm trying to find her name. But Amber Mid-Thunder would be who I would have play Kahhori. So she's an up-and-coming actress. She was the star of Prey. The the Predator film. I think she fits that mold well. She's 26 years old. God dang, she's 20. She born when I graduated high school. But she was in Ice Road, Legion, Prey, Roswell. And she's a seasoned actress, and I think she would kill it.
For me, I'm going Kelsey Asbeal. She plays Monica in Yellowstone. It could be a little bit of a stereotype because she plays that same person.
I literally was thinking her.
Yellowstone.
I've never seen Yellowstone.
I'm going to go with someone else who's already in the MCU, but I think she would actually freaking kill in this role. Zendaya. I know we're not going to get her, but I think she would be great in this. You don't think she'd be great in this role? I think she would.
No.
I think she would.
I think she would be good, but I think there'd be, unfortunately, the same treatment that I think Ariel got, is not giving her a chance and bashing the fuck out of it early on. I think Zendaya, I haven't seen a film that I don't like. Spider-Man's probably are excluded because she's very little in there as much as she is, but I think she's a very talented actor. But I think the support for that film would get bashed by the haters that did the same thing to Ariel.
No, I would bash it. She's not culturally appropriate for this film. See, Ariel is different. Ariel's has nothing to do with culture or anything. It's a mermaid. It's an imaginary thing.
True.
While this has deep, significant cultural roots to this character and everything else and stuff. So I myself would be one of those assholes.
Yeah, I just hate. I respect the culture part of it. I just hate that, like, except for like Snow White. Snow White, she did this to herself. But I really don't like that if anybody's gonna do bash on somebody before seeing a movie, I think that's a bit extensive. So I think, unfortunately, but I do agree with the cultural part as well. But I do think Zendaya that the general view would chew her up and spit her back out because they're trying to say what David just said, but they're saying it in a very toxic way versus just saying,
"Oh, I agree." Yeah, I agree.
So I don't disagree with that, but also there's not tons of young Native women actors that we can pull from as a list. Honestly, like, let's have it be somebody who's never done anything before then.
I'd be down for that.
Let's have it be somebody who is from the Mohawk.
Hey, that worked for Miss Marvel. So we got an
Iman Vellani is
amazing
killing it. She is killing it. She is dominating. Like she
is that character. She is Miss Marvel.
She made Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel look like shitty ass actors.
Yep, she ate their lunch.
For me, I would want to see a TV show because of this reason. I would want them to keep the subtitles. Don't change that. And I don't know if Marvel would commit to a full subtitle movie. Like, I'm even down having the Conquistadors being subtitled as well. Like
they did with Prey.
But Prey wasn't greenlit by Disney before they got it.
But also,
true. Yeah, it was
multilingual
before Disney took over.
But also, she's already shown she is multilingual because she walked into the Queen's chamber speaking Spanish.
She spoke Spanish. Another part of her power base.
I'd be down for all subtitles, but I think a TV show would be better because then you can break it up and still allow a lot more detail to be exposed episode to episode. I don't think Marvel would greenlight or do it justice. If they were to greenlight this, if the movie,
a lot of Wakanda Forever was in subtitles.
Not that much though. Not as much as this episode.
Any of the Talocan scenes.
I think this episode has as much subtitles as Wakanda Forever did in the whole movie. So
probably,
I would say that you go TV show because then you can do the subtitles without it being a problem. I mean, I think that's why they're releasing Echo all in one day, is because that's probably going to be a lot of subtitles.
You think so?
I think there's more internal stuff, but I don't know why they're doing it in one day. I wish somebody would come out and say something. I think that just is a recipe for disaster, but I mean, we'll talk about that when Echo comes out.
Yeah,
I think that the show's going to suck and nobody's going to watch it.
Yep, I think they're going to dump it because they don't want a month long of negative, like, picking a part of the episode. So they're going to dump it all. So you get the beginning, middle, and then in one swoop.
And then they can get a week full of negative feedback, and then they can just be done with it. They've invested in it. They promised it, and they know it's going to be garbage. So they're going to dump it on us and then try and forget it exists.
But anyway, I don't mean to do.
You guys ready to get back into the rundown, though?
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead.
Go ahead. So we see her celebrating after the hunt when she harvested this fruit. And all of a sudden, the Spanish conquistadors had found the Fountain of Youth in her land. Some of them had fallen into it, got sucked into Skyland, and were approaching, trying to shoot these new people. And she ends up dominating the conquistadors, showing how pissed off she can be, showing what her people mean to her. And the land decides to help her. And she opens up the portal, brings it closer to Earth, or not to Earth, but to the Skyland ground, instead of it being up in the air, unreachable, takes her leave, goes back to her. Yes.
Before you continue, I think, and this is my opinion, there was another power that was revealed. So when they're doing that ceremonial and they're dancing and the celebration and stuff, and the conquistadors were like trucking through the woods in the veil of night, she got her spider senses went off. Like, I don't know if it was.
She's got bionic hearing. Y'all aren't watching live, but I was muted while David was saying that, and I was like pointing to my ears because she's got bionic hearing. Yep. Because nobody else heard that, and they, are supposed to have the same skills as her, right? She's
through the music and the dancing and everything else. She picked up on that before they actually even made it to reveal themselves and stuff.
And she handled business. The land decided to help her. The portal back to the real world, or not the real world, but her world, comes closer, opens up on the ground. She's able to go back, and she starts destroying the Spanish conquistadors that are there, and she frees her people. And we do get to see the rest of the Skyland people come forth. They join her in her land. They help her finish the battle. The battle scenes are epic. And then she sinks their ships. It's amazing. We get a flash to the Queen of Spain sitting on her throne in her chambers, asking, like, where are my soldiers? And they're like, they're not coming back. We think we've lost the New World. And she says, never, I have the best soldiers. And then a portal opens. Very, very Doctor Strange style. Very Sorcerer Supreme style. And she walks out The rest of the tribe walks out with her. She tells the queen what's up, says, listen, we all benefit from peace. Don't make me destroy your people. The queen is talking hella shit. She lifts her up in the air, destroys her throne, drops her to the ground. And that is when we get a special appearance.
The Supreme Doctor Strange pops his head in from season 1 and tells her, Kahhori, I've been looking for you for a long time. So we have, literally, he's on a recruitment mission, just like Scarlet Witch was with recruiting Captain Marvel. We don't know what. Maybe we'll get those answers. I think we will as this season progresses and stuff.
And I said that to David before we started. Without us knowing the full range of her powers and just what we have seen so far, and because she's not a comic book character, so she doesn't have to play by the comic book rules per se. She could be a very likely competitor for the Scarlet Witch.
I had a Morpheus moment with the at the end before when the Conquistadors shot at her. And she, like, it was a Neo moment. Like, she just froze the bullets and everything else calmly. It was literally like that scene from The Matrix where Neo realizes some of his potential of his power and is like, you know what? Enough. And she puts her hands out and the little bullets just stop and then they dropped. I was like, in my head, I was like, she is the one. She this is the badass, power base, amazing, a new superhero that I'm in love with her character, her powers that are yet to be fully unveiled and realized. We get to kind of piece together some of the things we saw. Like, she has this apparently amazing intuitiveness, whether you call it spider senses, super hearing, whatnot. She has the power to control matter and things, freeze things. Oh my God. And the fact that the space stone kind of courses through her. I can't wait. I want more. And Marvel, shame on you for not having a comic book or something to come out in parallel with this.
Right, because I would have went and bought it immediately today. I was looking.
Man, I honestly wish Marvel kicked off the season with this. If this was the episode 1 for What If, my God, like, hands down, blew away. This is like some of the best Marvel content and stuff out there.
That we've gotten in a very long time. And yes. Louis even compared it to like the likes of like Wakanda Forever and all that. Like, you just can't compare it to anything else. It's incredible.
Yep.
I don't know. I loved it. I want more. Yeah.
So please, Marvel.com, update your heroes base. I want to know all of her stuff. So you writers who created this comic, this hero, please update that. So us nerds who love,
give us some comic books.
Yes, we want to know her history. We want to know her ranking and her power base, all that stuff. So we can read it and talk about it and really kind of compare and contrast, because that's what we did as a kid. And when we get introduced to new characters through the comic books and stuff. So.
And the fact that it's not just her, but it's an entire tribe of superhuman beings,
her
like
people. Yep. And I love Doctor Strange's comment, like, world peace in record time. We'll see how long that lasts. But I love that, because that's exactly what she was doing. Like, I mean, Spain was the ultimate ruler of the world. They ruled and colonized things under manifest destiny. For those who don't know, that means they were preordained and predestined to rule the world. So
we own you, so you do what we say.
Yeah, it was a religious experience for them to do that, to conquer the known world and stuff. It kind of writes with the head of the general calling Kahhori a witch when she walked onto the beach and everything else and stuff. Very religious, very spiritual people. So loved it. It was great. It was a 10 out of 10.
I do have a question though. Where is What If going though? Because we're starting to see this in season 2. We're seeing continuation stories. We're starting to see little cameos pop up where, like, for instance, Doctor Strange, it seems like he's doing some type of recruitment within the What If series. So I'm curious, is there a point where it's no longer what if with these timelines? And we now get a
recruiting
season
too. We just saw her in the last episode of Captain Carter.
Yep. So I'm curious if we're going to get a season of, all right, there's no more what ifing. This is now almost like, and I forget her name, but the lady in the MCU right now that's going around in the end credits recruiting people. I'm blanking her name right now.
Valentina de la Fontaine.
Valentina, yeah. Like Doctor Strange is doing that right now in the What If series. So I'm curious if this leads to a spin-off series. And I would love to see an animated series because I think they have endless bounds to what they can do. But I want to see what is the outcome of this, because now we're starting to see cameos.
Battle World. We get Battle World.
Yep. I think we are in
timelines have to fight for their existence.
We're
Battle World is what we get.
Forming a feature-length film.
I'm excited for it then.
Give us your champions, your champion team, because somebody's timeline is going to go bye-bye forever. So,
because this animation, a lot of people keep calling it like Into the Spider-Verse. I think this animation tops Into the Spider-Verse, and I think it is clean. Like I would love to see Disney expose this animation style for other storylines or doing anything else. It's buttery smooth. Like I'm
even going to say the animation in this episode was better than all of the other What If episodes too. The scenery.
Agree.
Holy cow. Fantastic.
I agree. The story writing, the animation, the hero introduction, origin. I love the solo What If because it did stick to the rule, about an event that changed. I loved everything from beginning to end. I enjoyed it.
With that, I'm gonna with what David shared, and I blanked it because Marvel is really dropping the ball on these 1.5 minute intros where they're like, "Yep, this is what happened, and here's the story." I will go a 9. I said at the beginning of the season, and I don't give anything really a 10, so
that's high.
A 9. I'm gonna go a 9. I'm going 9.5 for this episode because it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I can't find any flaws outside of that opening intro, but that's just been consistent with these What If episodes. They give you a whole bunch to swallow to try to put you in the zone, and then they let that fall to the wayside. But once the end credits ended and it went through the entire show, there was no flaws besides it was too short and they didn't give us enough of it.
But that's okay because we are going to get more. I fully believe that.
We better.
But we all loved it.
We better.
We all loved it. You heard it here first from the tribe. If you have not watched episode 6 of season 2 of What If, you get introduced to a badass new hero named Kahhori. So go, wait. Is that her name?
Kahhori, yeah.
Kahhori, yes.
I couldn't remember because the way her buddy in the Sky World kept saying it, he kept saying it in a very funny way. But when her little homie on Earth kept saying it, it was like very straightforward. So I could not remember it. But yeah, she's tight.
So go check it out. I think that's all we have for the Marvel Tribe tonight because we have a live show to go record. So feel the pulse in your chest so you know you're alive. One team, one love.
It's the Marvel Tribe.
We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of What If Season 2.